All right, welcome back, everybody. We are now joined with the first ever guest that we've had on Remote Control Sports, NFL Draft Prospect quarterback Chason Virgil. Chason, thanks for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you're making history as the first ever guest. So years from now you'll be able to tell people that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm honored then.
Absolutely. So let's just start with this. A lot of people know you transfer from Fresno State to Southeastern, but I'm curious with what that process is like. You transferred before the transfer portal was established. So what was the process of being a transfer like back then when you transferred from Fresno State to Southeastern?
Oh man, it's a lot of differences from back then to now. Now when you go into the transfer portal, you don't really have to communicate with the school that you're currently at all. You can kind of start reaching out and do all the communicating that you want to, really. In the process that I was in, I couldn't do that. I had to still go through the head coach and basically let him know that I was leaving the team. They had to give you clearance. They have to give you a list of teams that you can't go to, that are blocked off. And then you got to go all the way to compliance. You have to be able to send out it's like a letter of release, basically. And you have to have a list of schools that you want compliance to send that out to. So you come up with a list of schools. So you have to do a lot more research on your own at the beginning, just before you can even contact a coach and start talking to different schools. So that's the difference. A lot of guys can just hop into the portal at any time and be contacting coaches and really talking anytime. It's just like recruiting all over again. But back then it was a lot tougher.
And I want to talk about your recruitment process because a lot of people know that you were once committed to Mississippi State, but you had a lot of big-time schools looking at you. What made you choose Fresno State over like an Oklahoma or some of the other Power 5 schools that were looking at you?
Well, I committed later than really what I should have in high school. I committed in May going into my senior year, and I was one of the first guys to be committed in our class going to Mississippi State. And I was a early graduate, so I graduated high school early in December. So I was supposed to go to Mississippi State in January, and in November, at the end of November, beginning of December, they kind of just basically told me I couldn't go no more. Well, they never really talked to me. They talked to my head coach, and he told me. And from that point, a lot of other teams started to come back into the picture. I know Oklahoma came into the picture, SMU, Fresno State, Louisville. And I took visits to Oklahoma, Louisville, and Fresno State. And I really was just going to stay home. I really was going to go to SMU because Chad Morris had just took the job, and he had given me my first offer from Clemson. That was my very first offer. And so I was really just going to go to SMU, and then that ended up falling through. And I was kind of in the mindset I wanted to go somewhere where I could possibly play early, and Fresno was the best spot for me. And my mom, she always was just kind of like, she didn't kind of want her kids to be close to home. She wanted us to venture out and be on our own. And so I just took the California route and just went to Fresno.
Yes. Dylan, you good?
Yeah. So now we'll kind of go from the Fresno to Southeastern. Obviously, you come into Southeastern with a new head coach as well, Coach Selfo, and he basically gives you the reins to his offense immediately. And I was at that first game that you played, Coach Selfo, coach, at ULM, and I know the Southeastern lost, but you drove them down the field to almost upset an FBS team on your first game here at Southeastern. Was that the moment that you were like, this team's really special?
I think it was before. I just knew the way that we came together, really just in the process of me being there in the spring. Like you said, I got there in the spring, and me and Coach Selfo were basically kind of new because actually Coach Rob actually recruited me, and then when I got there, he ended up taking a job at Lafayette. And so, I came in, I was new, Coach Selfo was new. So really, everybody was just trying to get comfortable with each other. And I think that we kind of did that faster than what normal programs are able to do in order for us to really go into that first game and have the success that we had. But, as you can see, as the season went on, it didn't stick like how we wanted it to. It didn't continue to grow. And part of that was just, like I said, everybody was still learning each other. I wasn't trying to step on people's toes just because I was a new player there, and I was just still trying to build relationships with everybody. And but for how we did it going into that first game, I thought it was very promising, and we were a good team. We just didn't capitalize on everything like we wanted to.
Now you have that transition from year one and year two. Obviously, that was Coach Selfo's first season as a head coach. First time you're here, so you're a new starting quarterback, not only for the school, but all these players too. You're connecting with all these players for the first time.
Yeah.
And you can totally see a difference between year one and year two. Not only on the offensive end, but really the whole team. And the success really showed, obviously, getting into the second round of the playoffs. Talk about that transition from year one and year two and the success that you had in year two.
Oh, well, I mean, it was a big transition because for me, that was the first time in my college career where I went into back-to-back seasons having the same offensive coordinator. So usually I was always used to having to learn a whole new system and try to master a new system going into the season. But, this time, Coach Stevens was already there the year before. We ran that system. And so going into the spring offensively for us, we already knew the plays. We knew how to run them. I think we took the next step in learning why we're doing what we're doing, and that is what helped us be so successful into the season and help us pull out wins in late games. Defensively, I think when Coach Guidry came, he just brought them a different energy. The players really didn't change much. Obviously, we had some young guys on that side of the ball the year before, and we even played some young guys this year, but I think Coach Guidry just brought a different energy on that side of the ball. And then also as players, like you mentioned, it was our second year under Coach Selfo. So we kind of knew what to expect. We knew how his coaching was. We knew how basically every coach on the staff was. We knew what to expect from them and what they was expecting from us. So it was just a different level because everybody was more comfortable with each other. And I think that showed throughout games. You never really seen us panic. You just kind of see everybody being able to communicate with each other because we were really comfortable.
No, got anything?
Oh, me or Richie?
Your name is Jermaine.
Oh, my bad. I heard Richie start talking. All right. So,
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. All right, Chason, I've been a fan of yours since I've been watching you the last 2 years. And, you graduated and now you're a draft prospect. I just want to know, what has your preparation towards getting ready for the draft been like?
Oh, man, it's been crazy. Just because, I mean, you kind of don't know what to expect, man. It's it's not like we're a big time draft prospect where it's like that you're probably going to get picked in the draft. You know what I'm saying? And so now everything is a lot different because we were really gearing up for Pro Day. Pro Day was like our big interview for us. We weren't invited to the combine, and all the guys that graduated with me were seniors. We were really trying to have a really big Pro Day for Southeastern. And unfortunately that fell through due to the coronavirus and things like that. But now it's just kind of different because now it's a waiting game. You kind of start doing stuff on your own. We filmed a mock Pro Day with the people that I was training with. And, you just got to kind of hope that teams were really interested in you before your Pro Day. And so, a lot of guys didn't really want to get agents, but now you kind of need one.
Yeah. So my last question is, I was a big fan of yours, watching you play at Southeastern. Was there any quarterback that you watched growing up or that you watch today that you try to imitate when you were at Southeastern and that you're going for now?
Ooh, it's a lot of them. I think growing up, I was every kid was Cam Newton was our guy. And then as I got older, I was like, well, I'm not Cam Newton's size. I can't really play like him. And so I started kind of looking at quarterbacks that were similar to my build. Earlier in my college, when I was at Fresno, I studied a lot of Deshaun Watson film. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks. And as a recent and really going into last year, I studied a lot of Russell Wilson just to, really see how he commands the leadership role and just more so not just how he plays, but how he is off the field with the leadership things. When I first got to Southeastern, though, like I said, Coach Stevens had came back. So I studied Brian Bennett my whole first semester. That's who I watched. When I watched film to learn the system, I was watching him the whole time. And so even into year 2, I would always, because I had access to those games, I would always go back and watch certain games just to see, you know, how he did, and just trying to learn different things from him that I could add to mine.
Chason, the 2 years you spent as a starting quarterback at Southeastern, you know, you played against some pretty notable teams, LSU, Ole Miss, and then going into the FCS, Jacksonville State, Nicholls State, Montana. So I'd just like to know what are some of your favorite moments just from playing at Southeastern?
My favorite moments, I would say favorite moments. My first year, I'll just give you some favorite moments. My first year we played, I mean, the ULM game was really exciting. But my first year we got the first win against Lamar, and it was like we played in like a monsoon. It was like raining the whole game, and we was able to pull out that win. And then later that year, we ended up beating a really good McNeese team who was actually in the playoff hunt. And then second year, I think the first game against Jacksonville State was like one of the best highlights or moments of my, you know, whole college career, just because it was like we were really going against a ranked opponent, and you know we weren't thought to even win the game. And I didn't think that I could have a moment that topped that one. And then the Villanova game topped it, just to have a playoff win at home, coming from behind victory. It was sweet. The crowd and the atmosphere at Nicholls game was one of the best atmospheres that I've ever played in. And I played in big stadiums, but that atmosphere was one of the best ones. So I have a lot of good moments.
Now, it's pretty safe to say that you left a lasting impression on Southeastern Louisiana University, especially on that football team. So I'd like to know, what was the impression that Southeastern left on you?
Ooh, the impression that Southeastern left on me, it's family. It will always be family. I mean, you'll see me go back for homecoming games, big games. Like, you'll see me go back for stuff like that, because that was something that I was looking for when I was transferring. I wanted to go somewhere where it truly did feel like family, and it really did. You know, just from talking to, you know, the fans, that we would be able to interact, and people actually knew me outside of my jersey. Like, that was new. That was new for me. Especially, I'm a kid that, you know, I barely even leave my dorm room, and so just to have an interaction with the fans, and you know, even just the student body, man, it was just all love. And you know, that's just something that it'll always stick with me forever. So when I hear Southeastern, I hear, you know, Hammond America, like that's home away from home. It's just family.
Chason, you bring up Brian Bennett, and I think that a lot of people compare you two, because you are the two quarterbacks that have led Southeastern to the FCS playoffs. I want to know, with the way that his career has turned out, where he only really got one NFL look from the Colts. Mm-hmm. Now he's gone into a CFL career, and a lengthy one at that. Have any CFL teams reached out to you? Is that an avenue that you've looked into if the NFL doesn't work out?
It's an avenue that I've kind of looked into. And I mean, you know, you keep your options open. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't do it. Right now, though, I haven't really thought about it as much. You know, it's really just like the NFL. And if not that, then I'm probably really thinking, you know, about going into coaching. I mean, hopefully Selfa will hire me. But you know, going into coaching, but it's definitely a thought. I mean, not just for me, I know it's a thought for all of us. And so, I mean, the CFL, to be able to go to Canada, I mean, it would be nice.
And if anybody else has any other questions, they can. But my final question to you, in a perfect world, whether you're drafted or picked up following the draft, which team did you grow up rooting for? Which team would be a dream come true to play for them if there was one?
Oh, man. So the team that I grew up rooting for, which is kind of crazy, even though I'm a Texas or Dallas kid, I'm actually an Eagles fan, like a real big Eagles fan. So if they were to come knocking on the door, I definitely would think about it. Honestly, I could say the Saints as well, just because, you know, I've been in Louisiana the past 2 years. I think I could learn a lot from Drew. With Drew kind of getting older, I could probably learn enough and, probably compete for the job after that. So those would be two spots that I would really love if those teams came after me.
And I want to know what that's like with, for us, the closest we get to these guys is interviewing them. What's it like to be just a few months away from being on the same team as some of these people who are truly icons in the sports world?
You try to keep your cool. Like, I was blessed enough to go to the Manning camp 2 years, and it was my first time ever seeing the Mannings. And, you really try. It brings out the little kid in you. You want to keep you cool. You want to run up on them and ask for an autograph. Then you don't want to look too weird. So it's just kind of like, all right, I'll play it cool. But, I think anybody, the National Football League, if you get to see guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, like, you're gonna have a different feeling about it. Like, you're gonna feel like a little kid being able to meet them. And so if you're in a situation to where you get to go to work with them every day and you get to learn the things that help them become that great, it's just, you can't ask for much more.
Anybody else have anything?
No, I think you covered it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, real quick, Chason, and then we'll let you go. Your top 5 college football players, just off the top of your head, if you have them.
Top 5 college football players. Reggie Bush. I'm gonna go Reggie Bush. I'm going to go Vince Young. That's 2. Reggie Bush, Vince Young. Tim Tebow. I know I'm missing some people. Reggie Bush, Vince Young, Tim Tebow. I will go Adrian Peterson.
Okay, that's a new one.
So that's 4 right there, huh?
That's 4. Yeah.
That's 4. For me, the 5th one, I'm gonna go Deshaun.
All right.
It's either Deshaun or Cam, but one of those guys for sure.
You're going Deshaun over Cam.
For me.
I got you.
Only because in college, you see like the quarterbacks out there, they all play more than 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So
true.
It's a career thing. And what Cam did in his 1 year was great, but those guys put in years, like a career into it. So that's the only reason I would put Deshaun over Cam.
All right, Chason. Before we let you go, anything that you want to promote? You have a social media you want to let everybody know about that they can follow you throughout your draft process?
Oh man, y'all can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, CBoogie, or just type in Chason Virgil. My name will pop up. I follow back. You know what I'm saying? When I'm on Twitter, I interact with everybody. Y'all can always ask me questions. But that's really just it, man. I don't got nothing to promote.
Sounds good, man. NFL Draft Prospect Chason Virgil. Chason, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.